Okay, welcome back, students taking Math for Business and Finance and Math Applications. And this here will be the final video for Chapter 20, Fire, Life, Fire, and Auto Insurance, the theory videos. And I'm just going to quickly jump to it because there's not much left here to talk about. So in the first three videos, we covered life. 4 and 5, we covered fire. 6 through 8 here is about auto insurance. Okay, so 6 was for liability, 7 was for collision and comprehensive and transportation, and then this 8 will be kind of like discussing no fault and just a quick wrap up of all the possibilities. Okay, and again, this chapter is meant to give you a foundation to be able to talk to your insurance agents, um, coherently, but by no means is it meant to be a replacement for what actually happens in the real world. Things change all the time. So, uh, but you have to be able to, if you're going for, auto insurance, you need to be able to, if the insurance agent, you go and say, oh, let's say you own the vehicle and you know, you have title to it, and you go to your insurance agent and said, I just want insurance on the vehicle, and he says, well, how much, coverage? You say, well, my car's worth 30,000. I don't know. I guess that's an okay amount. Well, you're not giving enough information, and he's going to whack you for the most amount that he possibly can get away with. But if you can sit there and say, well, what are my options for liability? What about collision? What about comprehensive? What group do I fall in? What, parameters, what symbol, how much, it changes as far as deductibles are concerned. You can pay the right amount that's for you. Okay. And believe me, you're the one responsible for that. Not the agent. The agent is going to give you insurance. And of course, he makes money by the more insurance that you get from him. So it's your responsibility. All right. So, um, like I said, this isn't gonna take that much longer, all right? And what we're looking at here is no-fault insurance. Now, some states have taken a no-fault insurance stance, where if you have no-fault insurance, that means nobody's at fault no matter what happens, and only your coverage. Each individual gets their own particular coverage. Okay. Um, if you have no-fault insurance, if a state has uh, no fault insurance, you have to purchase the personal injury protection. I mean, think about this. If you say I want no fault insurance, now remember you had liability insurance, right, which covered the other guy as far as personal injury, right? Bodily injury. It was bodily injury. Okay. Well, if you say, no, I want to take no fault insurance, meaning um, you're not going to be responsible for his bodily injury. Well, what about your bodily injury? Well, if you take no fault insurance, you're required to have personal injury protection. You're required to have that um, because you're saying, you know, it's no fault. The other guy is not going to, cover your insurance. So what do you have? You have nothing. Okay. So if you're taking no fault, you have to have the personal injury protection. All right. As part of that. Um, you know, again, there's no right or wrong to no fault. Um, it all, versus the other insurances, it's all depends upon you and your situation, and it's best to talk to your insurance agent about, what, all of the possibilities and what they mean to you, because not all states have no fault. You might be in a state that doesn't have it, so, you have to go the other route, but you might be in one, and now you're thinking, well, no fault, that lowers my insurance, okay? Because I'm saying I'm not going to be at fault. But you have to, you have to weigh the pros and the cons to it, and that's best discussed with your insurance agent. All right. So the last thing here was auto insurance coverage worksheet, and this is, I tried to quickly cover that when I was going over the when we were doing the collision in the last video, when we were doing collision, comprehensive, and towing, okay, and labor and substitute transportation. But this here worksheet takes that one example and shows you all of the possibilities in one shot. Now remember, when you're doing your homework problems or you're on a test problem, whatever have you, you can't mimic what's in the chapter, because the chapter is going and saying, okay, and that's what's covered under this worksheet. It's covering these things, but the problem that you're working on may or may not include portions of this, what's on this worksheet. And the variables are going to be different. You might have a higher deductible. Instead of 1020, you might have 2050. Instead of 5,000, you might have 50,000. Again, you have to know the material in the book and in the chapter, and be able to find it and make the decisions in order to be able to do the math to arrive at your premiums. So with this worksheet, compulsory insurance, okay, liability insurance. In Pennsylvania here, we don't say compulsory insurance. We talk about liability insurance, and that is the bodily injury and damage to someone else's property. Okay, and the limits here in the example from the text were 10,000 for one person and 20,000 for the accident. Remember, that's 10,000 for one person. Let's say there's just the driver. 20,000, say, for one person and the driver and the passenger. But if you have a driver, passenger, and two people in the back seat, so you have three passengers, you're still only getting 20,000 per accident. Okay. And then for damage to someone else's vehicle, 5,000 per accident. Notice no deductibles, and if you looked on the table, they were the amounts that you would find from the table. Now, when you go into the options, you have optional body injury to others. Okay, in other words, if you wanted to go from 1020 to 250, 500,000, right? It's going to cost you more. And the same for the optional property damage. And if you didn't want 5,000, you wanted 50,000, it's going to cost you more. Okay, so no deductible, and that's the additional amount for those two particular options. So really, what you're talking about here, all of this can really be thought of as liability. Okay. But these two as an option are an increase over the minimum. Okay. So once we get past that, then we're talking about collision, an actual cash value, and comprehensive, an actual cash value. Okay. Deductible of $100 or $200, and of course these were the premiums that you would pay for the collision and comprehension. And then we had the substitute transportation, right? And that was for $16, and towing and labor an additional $4. So when you add all of these up for the total coverage at these price points right here, okay, these different price points, you end up paying $921 as your total premium, right? So even though this is a worksheet, use this as a and I don't want to say checklist, okay, but use it as a guideline, when you're looking at the problems or when you're doing a test problem, because, as the question is stated, you can kind of like go down, okay, I see this, I see this, I see this, I see this, and I see this, okay? I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I don't have that. And these are the only ones that you need to be concerned with in order to be able to make sure that you're hitting all the proper aspects of that particular situation in order to arrive at the actual premium. Okay, so that's how you would, that's what I would do in using this worksheet. Yeah, here's information, it's the, it summarizes what the auto insurance section of the chapter, but use it more of, like I said, as a checklist. Okay, all right, so that's it for the coverage, the insurances here. you know, I hope that, this chapter, you know, I realize that we have people in vet tech and medical and, obviously business, but this is not a business chapter. This is a personal chapter when it comes to insurances. So it doesn't matter what curriculum you're in. Hopefully you learn something from this chapter, and it's definitely applicable to your life. Okay. And as I keep on repeating, if you have any additional questions, feel free to call and speak with an instructor. Okay. I'll see you all doing the drill problems in the next set of videos, and definitely do the drill problems, because that's the only way you're going to get practice at determining which of these, as far as life is concerned, fire is concerned, and the auto is concerned, how the different variables all fit together. The more problems you do, you see the more scenarios, and it becomes more, it's easier for you to analyze new situations, because you become more aware of the idiosyncrasies and the differences between everything. Okay, and so I'll see you all in the drill problems.